Shalom. So we're going to look at adultery for women, adultery for men. So starting with the women, this is Romans chapter 7 and verse 3. It says, "So then, if while her husband liveth, she be married to another man, she shall be called an adulteress." Right? So a woman that sleeps with other men outside of her husband is considered an adulteress. Right? Now let's look at some situations because people like to get crafty, especially in this society, and use different terminologies to cover up, just to create a story for what the actual reality is or the experience. They say work relationships, you call them friends, you call it, oh, we're just hanging out, all these different things. Oh, we're doing something, but we're not serious. Oh, is the father of my child, but or yes, I have a man, but it's on and off, right? All these terminologies does not change the reality, right? So let's go to the book of Ecclesiasticus, chapter 6 and verse 6, right? It says, "Be in peace with many, nevertheless have but one counselor of 1,000." So guess what? In this work relationship, in this work relation, you might get a new job, and there's this senior guy at the work that is showing you the ropes, teaching you everything, you know, just showing you everything about it, and you gravitate to that person, but you have a husband. Guess what? There's no relationship that you need to have with this person. It doesn't matter what he's teaching you. Once you're off the clock, that ends there because it's a work relationship. Once you're off the clock, there's no more of that relationship until you get back on the clock, right? So that relationship, if it's work relationship, guess what? It has to be work related. And if it's a relationship absent work, then it's no longer a work relationship. So if you're building something knowing that you have a husband, this is the problem, because you should have only one counselor, and that is your husband. You don't need to that guy that knows all everything on the job teaching you everything. Guess what? Outside of that, you don't need his counsel. You understand? Does your husband, or whatever you call him, your boyfriend, your baby father, you whatever you call him, does he know that you are counseling with somebody else, with another man? Does he know the meeting place, the time, the details of the conversations? Does your husband know these things? No, right? So all of these are, you are stepping outside of the principles of your relationship, and you're opening a different door, right? So sometimes these women will say, oh, he's just a friend. Friend? Let's go to Ecclesiasticus chapter 6 and verse 7. It says, "If thou wouldest get a friend, prove him first, and be not hasty to credit him." Sometimes we meet people and we say, oh, he's a nice guy, she's a nice girl, and whatever it is. Quick to credit, right? But you don't prove their intentions. You don't know for sure if, you know, this woman is, this woman has a husband, right? So what kind of friendship is she looking from you, right? So women do these things under different labels because that is what this society boils down to. You just call something one name and do the total opposite, right? So even brothers, especially in the religious institutions, we say brothers and our sisters, but how many spiritual brothers and spiritual sisters committed physical adultery? How many? How many of you women end up in adulterous situations with other people of your congregation? It's the same for the men, but I'm dealing with the women on this side, right? So these terminologies that we put on it don't mean anything, right? It doesn't mean anything, right? So you're with your spiritual brother or your spiritual sister, You're not committing spiritual incest. You're committing physical adultery. And we need to be aware of it, that these titles do not change the fact that we are stepping out of the principles or the morals of the covenant or the agreement that we have with our partners, right? Now, hanging out, you might say, oh, I'm just hanging out with this guy, is cool, and well, Ecclesiasticus 9 and 9 says, sit not at all with another man's wife. So, we're not dealing with the man now, so we're dealing with the woman. If you are a man's wife, you should sit not at all with another man apart from your husband, right? Nor sit down with her in thine arms. Woman, do not sit down in the arms of another man. Especially, he says, and spend not thy money with her at the wine. Woman, stop allowing men to spend money on you, because at the end of the day, you will be gravitating to something, because what happens is your mind start to process that as, oh, he cares, right? And then you're falling into desire, because now you're going to desire the person for what his money can do for you, not for what he can do or how he can make you feel, how his money can make you feel, right? It says, spend not thy money with her at the wine also. Women, if you're in a relationship, don't be out there drinking, right? Don't be drinking carelessly. If you know your limit is one beer, you drink half of a beer, right? And if you know if it's not where you're with your girlfriends and so people you know who will protect you, right? Then you have to be more careful. You have to be more discreet. You have to use more wisdom, right? You cannot drink and then do something, then blame it that and you and the fact that you were drinking because you were sober before you started drinking, right? So you cannot go back to the fact that, oh, I was drinking so I did this. No, but you were conscious before you started drinking, right? So these stories don't make any sense. So it says again, nor sit down with her in thine arms. Those comforting hugs, right? When you women are going through whatever phase in your life, in your relationship, those hugs that you're getting, no, seek that from other women. Seek that from some elder who you know you have no desire towards, or will not have a desire to you towards you, but see you more as a daughter figure, and you can see as a father, or as a mentor, right? You have to use these principles and these morals and standards to protect or cover your relationship. That is the hedge of protection, the wisdom and the most high. That is what protects your relationship, not allowing anything to come in, negative forces, negative thoughts. You don't want to open different doors, right? So no, you're not gonna hang out with other people outside of your husband unless he's there and he gives the okay, say, okay, let's do this, right? No, counseling. Hmm. Ecclesiasticus chapter 37 and verses 7 and 8. Because what happened is a lot of women, they like to go and see, as something start to happen or go wrong, the first thing they want to do is go and see counsel. And usually, again, with the opposite gender, right? This is not coincidence that they always want to go to other men. Or if they do go to women, they go to women that they know will tell them what they want to hear. They're not gonna go to a woman that's gonna pull out certain scriptures and say, no, well, this is wrong, that is wrong. Go to your husband, apologize. They're not gonna go to those type of women. They are going to go to women who are burdened with pain and hurt and anger, right? And have a resentment towards men that will tell them exactly what they want to hear, right? So it says Every counselor extolleth counsel, but there is some that counseleth for himself. So you go to these men for counseling about your man or about your relationship in the absence of your husband. Guess what? You don't know why they want to help you, or do they care about your relationship and you fixing it and you have a peaceful relationship with your partner? Do they care about that? Verse 8 says, beware of a counselor, and know before what need he hath, for he will counsel for himself. Guess what? This counseling, you're going to gravitate to what he's saying instead of what you need to do, right? It gives a form of comfort. You gravitate to the knowledge and know what? You will fall into that lust, that wanton, that covet, right? No, you wish this was your husband talking like this. No, you wish that this was, what? You go into that because your heart is weak. Let's go to Ezekiel 16 and 30. Ezekiel 16 and 30. It says, how weak is thine heart? That's it right there. The flesh is so weak. It's very weak, right? This is why we manifest all these different types of immoralities in relationship, because of the weakness of the flesh, and it's quick to manifest things. Let's go to Galatians chapter 5 and verse 19. It says, now the works of the flesh are manifest, which are these: adultery. It's the same thing. This is manifested because of the weakness of our hearts. Where does it come from? Let's go to the book of Mark, chapter 7 and 21. It says, far from within, because our heart is weak. It says, out of the heart of men, our heart is so weak, out of the weakness of our flesh, proceed evil thoughts. Again, adultery. There's that first one on the list, right? So we need to be, we need to understand these things. And for our women, you need to understand that if you do have a husband, do not step outside or above him in making certain decisions. Don't take it upon your own to go and deal with the world outside, because everything is not how they appear to be. What you're seeing is one thing, but the intentions can be very different, and things might turn around on you, right? It doesn't look good for you to be out there counseling about your relationship, and your man is not aware of it, and then in that same counseling you end up committing adultery, making it worse. The only thing you're going to do is go back home and be angry with him, because you're ashamed, and you are guilty. You feel that guilt, so you're going to go home and just start an argument with him, not because of something that he did, but because of your own guilt. You don't know how to process it now, right? So I hope we understand how it looks from the aspect of the woman, and you work from it from there. Be aware of the different things that we tell ourselves, right? Women have to be aware, be conscious that, hey, these stories that you're telling yourselves is just to cover up the real truth, right? Shalom.